True. And also you as a business person. I'm sold on you. Yes. You're going to need people that have relationships. I know that if Mark aligns himself with me, that makes whoever I want to get on the phone even that faster. You don't want to go to 600. I said I was going to 600. You didn't want to go to 600.
But you didn't even take a breath. Now I'm jealous.
Well, that's business, Barb. You know, like I know you can't think about it.
Cutie pie?
No, not at all.
So now you have
Today, I'm doing another reaction for another entrepreneur who also went into the Shark Tank. For each one of these reactions, the idea is to pick up some of the nuances and subtle lessons that you as an entrepreneur or business owner can benefit from. So without wasting much time, let's get into the episode.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning.
What's going on, Sharks? My name is Alexiou Gibson. I was born and raised in the Bahamas, and I am here seeking $500,000 for 5% equity in my company. Now,
this is a clear case of what we call valuation in entrepreneurship. So he is essentially seeking $500,000 for 5% equity. So that means that he values his company at $10 million. So there's a simple way to calculate this valuation when people get into the Shark Tank and they ask for equity. In this case, he's asking for $500,000 for 5%. So there's a simple mathematical calculation that you can do. So you can say that if 5% of that equity he's seeking for is equal to $500,000, then 100%, which would represent the entire company, would be 100 over 5 times $500,000, and that is going to give you $10 million. So that's a simple way to quickly calculate the valuation based on the ask of the entrepreneurs in the Shark Tank. So you can already tell the reaction of the sharks.
I'm a pretty healthy guy, but I wasn't always this way. In fact, when I was 21 years old, I weighed over 500 pounds and was told that I wouldn't live to see 30. So I knew that I needed to do something right away to get my life back. I started working out more, eating healthy, and even went vegan, Mark Cuban. Yeah. So during my transformation, I found a nutritionist ingredient that had 90% of the minerals that our human bodies need, and I incorporated it into my life every single day. Now, what is it? It's called sea moss. Sea moss is a powerhouse marine algae that exists in our oceans and has 90% of the essential minerals that our human bodies have. I wanted everyone to have this product.
This is a very interesting pitch because he starts with a personal problem, and a lot of times there are two essential approaches that entrepreneurs use when stating the problem. There are those who go with the statistical approach where they would start by saying globally there's 100,000 people with this kind of condition. Within Northern America, there's X amount. Within Africa, there's Y amount of people. So there's that approach where you go by the numbers, you go by some form of secondary data. And then there is the approach where people have personally experienced the topic or the problem or the pain point by themselves. So they went through that pain point, and that is the other approach to stating the problem statement. So in this case, this gentleman states about how he was overweight, and you can clearly see the transformation and how he's been able to overcome that. And out of that situation he found in himself personally, he has come up with a product.
Which is why I created the Transformation Factory, a line of mouth-watering sea moss gels that you can take and get 90% of your nutrients with 2 tablespoons every day. So tell me, Sharks, who's ready to transform the world with me and see nothing but green in the future?
That's a great
Now,
pitch.
Sharks, in the front of you, you have our mouth-watering line of sea moss gels for you to try yourself. You'll be tasting our mango, strawberry banana, pineapple, dragon fruit, and last but not least, our elderberry.
The strawberry tastes very good.
So sea moss has 90% of the essential minerals that our human bodies need to function. So you have zinc, boron, you have iodine that treats thyroids, and it also treats the gut. The gut is where our immune system lives. The only sweetener in this is agave, organic agave syrup.
Alexiou, you said you lost 300 pounds?
Yes, I did.
So if you also observe that the entrepreneur did not just state his product, or he did not just present his product, he went ahead to mention the nutritional value of CMOS. So this is normally backed by some form of empiricism. He stated the nutrients, things like zinc and all that can be found in CMOS. So this is also crucial, that your solution in order to kind of corroborate the efficacy of your solution, you need to back it with some form of empirical data. And in this case, it's not really an over-the-top data, but just the nutritional value of CMOS. And I think that's a good thing that he did. And so you can see here, Laurie is just about to ask more about his personal journey. And this is what I mentioned.
How did you do that? And what was that like?
Well, I remember reading an article that, some weight loss contestants on different reality shows worked out 4 to 6 hours a day. And I told myself, as a personal challenge, I'm like, man, these people are as big as I am. Some of them are twice my age. What's my excuse? I can do 6 hours. Let's do this.
Wow.
I became obsessed with becoming the best version of myself. I would literally be on the elliptical and I'd be envisioning what does a more healthy version of myself look like, a more confident version.
Good for you.
And I started chasing that guy in my mind.
Very, very strong.
Yeah.
Yep. Congratulations.
Seriously. Thank you guys. Thank you.
What are your sales right now?
Right now, we are at 3.5 million sales to date.
Whoa.
Wow.
We started 11 months ago.
Wow.
Wow. So this is outstanding. And you can tell from the reactions of the sharks. In 11 months, he's made $3.5 million in sales. I think this explains why his valuation is $10 million. It makes sense now. He's doing quite well. It's really remarkable.
How are you distributing it to get that kind of trajectory?
So the way this actually started, my 80-year-old grandmother was visiting from the Bahamas, who has a lot of comorbidities and taking medication, so I knew I wanted to protect her. I would put this in her coffee every morning. I was sharing stories on my Instagram story, just showing like CMOS lattes every 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'll give it to grandma, and they're like, I know what CMOS is. I keep hearing about it. Can I please stop by and get some? I'm a registered nurse. I'm in the COVID wing. And I'm like, absolutely. You ladies are soldiers. Come over, grab it. We didn't charge. And I was giving this away for free, not even thinking that it could have been a business. And it wasn't until I was getting about 60 orders a week, I said, why don't I open an online store to make the process simpler? It exploded. From there, we started running ads. We started getting more SEO traction. We had an 800% growth from February to March.
And remember last week, I mentioned that your product is important, but even more important is the story behind your product. So as entrepreneurs, this is a key lesson. The number 2 aspect of this presentation, which for me is quite remarkable, is that he started very small. He was just sharing his product on Instagram, and using social media. Sometimes we think that when we have a product and we are ready for the market, we think that we need like a fancy website or we need some form of fancy marketing. Use what you have. The best marketing tool that you can ever have, for me, in my opinion, is social media. You can start with Facebook, you can start with Instagram, TikTok, and all the other platforms. Just share the story behind your product. And that's exactly what this gentleman did. And he said it grew over 800% in just a couple of months. So this is very good.
When we started running ads and people knew that we existed.
Did you make any money on the 3.5 million in sales?
Yes, we're about 35% profit margin.
So
you made $1 million in
35%.
profit.
Yeah, 1.4 million. We poured a lot of it back into the business, but we have extremely healthy cash flow.
And is it all still direct to consumer?
It's direct to consumer, 100% online.
So I'm curious what you'd use our money for.
So the way I would use the money is I actually want to have a transformation factory where we have the ingenuity and the machines to shelf stabilize our products.
You want to do that to get on retail shelves, right?
Yes, we want to get on retail shelves.
How much are you selling each bottle for?
So an 8 ounce raw CMOS sells
Another important thing that Mark asked was about what we call D2C, direct to consumer. So currently that is the business model this entrepreneur is using. So he essentially has a website and you go to the website and place the order. It's absolutely remarkable how he's able to essentially sell $3.5 million worth of his products in 11 months through just his website and social media. That is exceedingly remarkable. And currently he mentioned something about his product, the fact that he wants to go into retail. So it tells you the distribution model I mentioned also last week, that how to get your product from your place of manufacturing to the final consumer is what distribution is about. So he's currently using D2C, which is direct to consumer, and now he wants to explore retail and sell to retail stores. To do so, he needs money to perform stability tests. And that is exactly what he mentioned, because you need to do some lab tests to ensure what we call the shelf life. Shelf life is basically how long your product can remain on the shelf for consumers to buy before it goes bad. And so he has to do that. He needs some lab tests and some quality control systems in place to make sure that once he's able to go into retail, the products can be on the shelf for a specified, I'll call it a scientifically approved specified time before it goes bad. So this is a crucial step for him, and I think it's a very laudable step for him to get this money.
For $24.99.
Whoa. This is $24.99?
Yes, $24.99.
Oh!
But you only use 2 tablespoons. You don't need the whole jar.
And what does it cost you to make it?
The cost for the smallest jar is $4.15.
That's good margins.
Yes.
That's great margins.
So how are you dealing with this when you manufacture it? How are you making sure it's clean, safe, pure?
Great question. So because this comes from outside of the United States, it has to be FDA cleared and cleared by customs to even enter for consumption.
Why would anybody pay $24.99 for a tiny bottle of what looks like baby food? How did they learn about this?
This is a culturally driven product, right? In our community, African American community, this is something that is now being raved about, and we're seeing growth in it. So I've actually purchased it, and it was in a plain jar, and it was like an exclusive buy. It almost felt like a drug deal, I'll be honest. They said, I know somebody that can get you some. And I was like, all right, I'll try it. So everything that you're saying, I do know to be true. What I'm most intrigued about are your numbers. Do you have other investors or partners right now?
I'm a sole owner.
Good for you, baby.
I have no debt. Being first generation entrepreneur and everything, this is where I do need help, where I really want a strong financial background.
Again, you can tell that this entrepreneur is on top of the questions being thrown at him. So he essentially says that he has no debt. He has no other partners. He's 100% the owner of the company, which is, again, very remarkable. And this comes to the point I would like to share also, that there's essentially the need for you to bootstrap when you start your company. When you have an idea, don't expect that you would get funding right from the onset. It takes time, and you can tell that he has bootstrapped. And bootstrapping essentially means that using the financial resources that you have within your network to be able to fund your company at the early stages. So it could be money from friends and family, your savings. It could be even kind of putting money back after you have made some profit, which is currently what this entrepreneur is doing. Beyond a certain threshold, bootstrapping no longer works, because if you want to scale, you want to go into retail, you want to expand nationwide, you cannot bootstrap unless you are, of course, a multi-millionaire or a billionaire. So this is one way to look at his funding strategy. He started with bootstrapping, and now he wants to get some equity funding to scale.
In the system, that's one area that I would love to be extremely
Why are you only giving us 5%? And why did you ask for $500,000? Because you don't need the cash, and if you need that much help and guidance, 5% is not going to get us excited.
So, I'm very flexible in that. I'll tell you what I'm looking for the most is I want to work directly with one of you. I just want to be a sponge and keep growing as an excellent CEO. I'm going to ask for 20%. I think that you're going to need a significant amount of help in building the infrastructure to run your business.
Can I tell you something? I was going to make an offer of 20% as well. I think that's a fair price. And I think I have the expertise to help out in a real meaningful way.
So then if that's the case, Barb, then if you want to, we split the 20%, we keep the offer at $500,000 and we go 10 and 10.
Great idea.
That's our.
So the implications of this offer from Kevin is that he essentially has reduced the value or the valuation of the company. So the entrepreneur came in seeking 5% for $500,000, and that puts the valuation at $10 million. Now with this offer from Kevin, and this is what you need to understand in the Shark Tank, whenever an offer is made, it has direct bearing on the valuation that you came into the Shark Tank with. So in this case, Kevin is offering, I think, 20% equity, and he's willing to give the same $500,000. So this means that the valuation of the company has gone from $10 million to $3.5 million.
All right. I want to thank you, Barbara and Kevin, so much for your first initial offer. I do want to give the Sharks an opportunity to hear their offers as well.
Understood.
I'm going to ask for more, actually. I'm going to give you the $500,000 for 30%, and then I'm going to put Chef Wonderful behind it, and I'm going to sell it direct. I sell millions of dollars of sous vide, cakes, wines, spices, you name it.
None of that has anything to do with the CMOs.
I'm not doing it for 20% because the amount of work in setting this up and actually fulfilling to a giant direct-to-consumer play like QVC is really, really challenging.
Thank you very much, Kevin and Barbara. I love the fact that you guys are interested. What I would say is 20% is a huge amount for $500,000.
Do the 30% offer
based
instead.
on our current sales. You know, we're doing over $500,000 a month in sales. Our profit margins are great. There's a lot of room for growth. We've managed to do this on our own, and there's so many things that we have.
Because you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Alexiou, with all due respect, you sound like you really need our help and expertise, particularly when
He's pushing back because he feels that the sales that he's making are quite substantial, and the valuation of the company is kind of below his expectations. So he's trying to kind of push back.
I don't imagine you could go anywhere else where you could get the notoriety that this character to my right, this cutie pie right here.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you.
Not you, not you.
Well, I would say I 100% agree with you. My counter offer to Kevin and Barbara would be for 20%, $800,000 in the company. We
How
could
do you
use
like
that
that,
to move
Seaweed?
into.
I love you
he's
so much,
pushing
and
back.
it sounds so juicy, but no thank you.
Kevin.
Barb, are you interested in countering back and going to 600 and staying at 20%?
I honestly feel $500,000 with the help
Kevin.
he needs is the right number.
Oh, Kevin. Oh,
Okay.
wait, Marco wants to come in.
If you want to go at 600, right?
Yes.
And keep it at 20%.
Yes.
I'm telling you, I truly do believe that there's a significant value in what you have here.
Yes.
And I do honestly believe in your growth potential and also you as a business person. I'm sold on you.
Yes.
You're going to need people that have relationships. I know that if Mark aligns himself with me, that makes whoever I want to get on the phone even that much faster.
For the
Because you don't want to go
Oh, that's interesting. So guys, oh my. So the initial collaboration was between, let me
But I
just
said
check
I
it.
You
was going to
said you didn't
600.
want to go to
But you
600.
didn't even take a breath. Now I'm jealous.
Well, that's business, Barb. You know, like I know.
Oh,
as
the
well.
initial collaboration was between Kevin and Barbara, but from nowhere, Kevin has just switched sides.
And also you as a business person. I'm sold on you.
Yes.
You're going to
no.
need people that
Kevin
have
has thrown
relationships.
Barbara under
I
the
know
bus.
that if Mark aligns
This is
himself
not
with
good.
me, that makes whoever I want to get on the phone even that much faster.
For
Because you
the
don't want to go to 600. I said I was
You
going to
You said you didn't
600.
want to go to
But you
600.
didn't even
Barbara.
take a breath. Now I'm jealous.
Well, that's business, Barb. You
Is
know,
he-
like I know you can't
Barbara, is he
think
still
about
a
it.
cutie pie?
No, not at all.
So now you have an offer
Yes.
where it's
So,
Mark
Alexiou,
and
what do
Kevin
you
for
want to do? You can get two of us
$600,000.
for
I
600.
love that offer. Mark, I'm a huge fan. We're both vegan. I love it. 600,000, 20% to work.
So $600,000 for 20% has a valuation of, I think, $3 million. So let's see if the entrepreneur sees value in that offer and if he's
For
going to
both of you
accept
would be
or not.
incredible. you guys have a deal. Thank you so much, Barbara. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Congrats on what you accomplished.
This was a very interesting episode, and I think that what happened at the end is quite interesting. How Barbara and Kevin had initially gone in for $500,000 for 20% equity, and then Kevin could sense that Barbara was not willing to at least give a little bit more cash from $500,000 to $600,000, and then he senses that and immediately listens to Mark, and Mark says, "Look, I'll go in with you." And just like that, Kevin Hart just flips and now does the deal with Mark instead of with Barbara. And Barbara seems to be quite pissed. And so, I mean, at the end of the day, the entrepreneur is the winner here. He was able to get $600,000 for 20% equity of his company, valuing the company at $3 million. So that is not bad. And I think that is quite a very intriguing episode. And yeah, I do hope that you guys enjoyed this reaction, and don't forget to like, and of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And if you have any comments, any suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with me.